dinner. That's all I
Nice.
care about. We want to have a quick night.
Exactly. But without further ado, let's take a glimpse on the top two dogs here. Coming in towards the upper brackets, the second upper bracket semi-finals here. It is going to be GameLab going up against ALVA 8 with GameLab on the blue side. And the winner of this series will be heading it off towards the upper bracket finals where they need to face off against Euphoria Esports. GameLab representing from the Philippines and ALVA 8 from Indonesia. This is where we start things off with a Kadita ban coming from GameLab, and also the Faramis being banned from ALVA 8. So I'm genuinely curious, are we going to see a respect Hanzo ban coming from ALVA 8 against GameLab?
Pretty expected, seeing that Farm is on that ban list, because there's just too much value if you give it over to GameLab, especially they're on that first pick. Hanzo though, I feel like that's probably a second phase thing for ALVA 8. GameLab picked it in the second phase last time, but we see that Fredrin ban, a hero that yesterday was led through almost all games.
Yep, it is going to be respect towards Fredrin as well. It's just one of the hardest, most tankiest heroes in the current meta, where not a lot of marksmen and not a lot of heroes can actually chunk down a Fredrin. Meanwhile, I really want to talk about this as well, because we haven't seen too much Fanny success in yesterday's games, but GameLab was one of the few that actually have good success with it. Question here is, ALVA 8, do they ban it? Or do they let the 1-1 through, even though it has been nerfed? We've also seen success with the hero. There is still a potential Arlot also going to be up in the pool as well. So do they want to prioritize banning that and just letting it through, or pick a Kufra themselves? Because eventually, if ALVA 8 decides to go for a Fanny, I'm pretty sure that Dortmund is going to bring Kufra in.
Yeah, Fanny got banned by ALVA 8, so it means that, the GameLab now have a plethora of options to go for. The Kaja is also led through as well. The Kaja, Arlot, we have the Glue, a lot of these these S tier picks. And I think for GameLab, they're just going to go for the Kaja. It's just a no-brainer, right? Give you guarantee.
I think they should go for Arlot though, but for them to actually go for Kaja, it seems like they're just limiting their options, because it's pretty much sets in stone that, hey, there's no way you're going to be playing this Kaja in the XP lane. Even though they could be a potential Toda, right? Jungle, Kaja, etc. But at the same time, Arlot pretty much a no-brainer for ALVA 8 to secure his wall, but they let go the... Oh, okay. They actually picked the Moscow for themselves. Interesting, huh?
I thought they would go for a Mage in the second pick.
Yeah, I thought they would actually go for a Yve maybe. But no, it's GameLab, their response is going to be this taking down the Yve for themselves. But now the jungler here, Mortis, also going to be up for grabs for GameLabs if they decide to go for it. But no, they deny it. They pick the carry instead.
Yeah, I think they're not too worried, right? You saw the gold laner getting picked so early, so GameLab very confident to just respond in kind. And actually doesn't reveal much. If you're ALVA 8, you're probably looking at that Mage. We have Farsa left on the table if that's what they want to go for. So far in that mid lane, not too much deviation. No Farmis, no Kadita, no Valentina, and with Eve taken away, you kind of are only left with that Farsa as a decent option.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they actually prioritized the Moskov instead. They could have gone for a Farsa pickup, give them the Evo, etc., and then pick up the Martis themselves, because as of now, they're lived with this option where, oh, okay, no Farsa, no Martis, picking the Lolita to deal with potential front-to-front brags, and against a carry, I guess it's the most ideal situation, but I don't think it's a big factor here. But I guess ALVA 8 has something planned installed as well. They're hoping for a setup to protect this Arlot against this carry, where he dives the back line. So, Martis, ALVA 8, they banned it themselves. Okay.
Wonder what's the idea for ALVA 8. There's Farsa's gonna get taken now. I think now we are going down that Mage list. Xavier is probably the next one remaining on the list that I don't think GameLab is going to be too worried. You have decent options in that XP lane. And in the jungle also, I think Yuzhong now looks to be a very, very juicy pick for GameLab if they want to go for it.
Yeah, I think so. Esmeralda isn't too bad for GameLab to actually deal with the shields coming from Lolita, right? But I think the biggest concern coming in from ALVA 8 is that they need somebody to deal with the carry, right? Moskov doesn't necessarily is the way solution for it. They've got the Lolita, but in terms of jungle matchups, I feel like having a tank slot coming from ALVA 8 is actually so much better on their side compared to GameLab's side. And if GameLab decides to deny it away from them, it is going to be a little bit spicy, but I guess the reason why they're keeping their junglers options open for ALVA 8 is the fact that maybe GameLab is going to pick the Hanzo again. And we know a sneaky Hanzo can actually deny buffs away from your enemy jungler. And sometimes, and just sometimes, ALVA 8 decides to go for maybe a Link pickup, maybe a Hayabusa to a certain degree. It is going to completely affect their rotation. So I guess they're still leaning on that assassin playstyle jungler for ALVA 8.
No Farsa, the Akai also gets banned out. We're going down the jungle tier list also. GameLab still hiding Takenaga's hero. That's something that they have been doing for a long time. I think for ALVA 8, you probably would be looking at a mage right now and just trying to see if you can get a counter matchup for that jungle. Mostly assassins left on the board, right? Ling, Hayabusa, like you mentioned.
It isn't
Hanzo for
too
GameLab.
bad if they go for Barats, but at the same time, okay, they are going to go for a Ling instead. So that pretty much opens up to saying that, hey, you know what? If GameLab decides to pick a Hilda right now, they're a little bit too late. They are going to force this Kaja in the XP lane, which kind of negates a lot of their frontliners coming from GameLab. So I guess ALVA 8 has a pretty solid idea. They've got a way to dive the back lines to actually deal with the carry. And currently, based on what I'm seeing from GameLabs, they're in an option here to actually just pick whatever they want. In this case, I think Thanks a lot from GameLab isn't too bad against the Link. But they still need somebody to do with it.
Oh,
but no, they're not going for Thanks a lot. They're going for Hayabusa and the Phoveus instead.
When you think about it, there actually is a good logic behind the Phoveus, right? You have so much mobility on ALVA 8. You have the Link that dashes around, Moskov that blinks here and there, and of course Arlott is just going to use those Demon Marks to keep resetting his dashes. Phoveus, very good hero to catch up to it.
I'm curious to see what's going on from GameLab. They were going for a pick-off composition, but at the same time, things can go south real quick as well. ALVA 8 forced to go for the Sicilian, a lot of poke damage potential, and also a lot of late-game strength coming in. So I guess this is pretty nice coming over ALVA 8. I was expecting maybe a Lunox, but seeing how this is going, this is the best option to actually play around Link, right? They have heroes that doesn't necessarily need to commit to fight. They have a lot of poking strategy in case things don't go in favor of their strategy in their early game. Late game wise, they have this Link going for crossman plays, whereas GameLab, they don't have the strongest crossman plays, and forcing the Hayabusa to mirror that kind of diminishes their entire composition. So they do have a mixture of strengths and weaknesses, but it all comes down to whether or not GameLab can they play around this Divine Judgment.
I personally am looking forward to that level 4. How is this Phoveus going to have that ultimate and start dealing with this Arlott, right? Normally, you find it very hard to catch up that hero because he is so mobile. Phoveus can constantly do it with that ult reset, and that is going to make it a bit more tricky for ALVA 8 to just dive a backline with zero consequences. I think GameLab have a very creative response to this in this game number 1 of the upper bracket.
Yep, without further ado, this is going to be the second upper bracket semifinals for GameLab versus ALVA 8 game number 1. And a very interesting draft coming from both sides, and I'm curious to see whether or not ALVA 8 is able to stop this aggression. But as of now, both sides, we are seeing a little bit of harassment coming from Darkman for GameLab as he tries to pressure the Link. And the downside of ALVA 8 is that no purple buff for Link means it is going to be a grounded Link.
So much punishment for her voice, just really abusing that level 1 strength over the Arlott. Already pushing it down to less than 25% HP, and the invade from GameLab also is making life a bit complicated for this Link. Thankfully, he was able to secure both his buff, Winspoke by his side, but this Arlott is getting punished so much. Yoktizi going for 1 versus 1. Jirachi shoves him away. Both the gold lane are dropping low, but it's Yoktizi having that initial win. Meanwhile, top lane just getting ambushed.
Oh, Takenaga gonna be up in the upper hand against Axian here in terms of his rotation. Without being contested so far, this Hayabusa is gonna have a little bit of a lead. But so far, the biggest threat here from ALVA 8 is gonna be having this thing on the purple buff. But Aaron Shiki is gonna get died by Takenaga. But no, he almost died in the force. He is gonna completely outplay that. Doesn't even need to commit to that. He knew he was gonna get the kill.
Yeah, Aaron Shiki even went for the flicker, trying to go for the flicker outplay, but unfortunately just mistimes it, and we actually are seeing a bit of that role swap also. Aaron Shiki on that XP laner, and Jirachi on the Moskov. So it's something that I think is the first for us, at least on broadcast, GameLab going on the turtle. Uncontested mostly. ALVA 8 just don't have the means to fight them for it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all if you think about it. But for now, it seems like with the plays coming in, they are going to go force a fight. And Euphoria is going to be the first target here coming from GameLab. And ALVA 8 nowhere grouped up to actually commit to a fight. And just like that, GameLab, they've got rotations in the back. They've got to punish in. And with this 2K lead, it's just a huge margin for GameLab.
And GameLab is already ahead in experience. Also, if you look at the Romas, Dortmund is almost one full level ahead of Vinsmoke. And Havos is constantly pressuring Aaron Shiki. This is the first time I think we've seen this matchup, but the results have been phenomenal for Havos. And he's just going to keep punishing Aaron Shiki. And as an Arlot, you know, dashing onto a Phobius is kind of counterintuitive. And Havos is just abusing that fact.
Yeah, but now with the Divine Judgment coming in, Euphoria will be the first one to fall. No backup whatsoever. ALVA 8 not choosing the fight at all. They are going to play those cross-map plays, and this is actually eventually going to hurt them because GameLab, they're looking for all this kind of pickoffs that you cannot afford to give any of these kills.
Havos just constantly pressuring that top side. Accent does show up. We'll go for the jungle invade. Again, parallel jungling. Takenaga not even bothered at all. When you look at the net worth, top 4, all of them occupied by GameLab. And it's just nothing much that Vinsmoke can do. In fact, Takenaga is just going to jump onto him to force that flicker out.
What? Okay, this is a big problem. ALVA 8 seems like they're just losing on every single fun. They can't seem to find any kind of opportunities. GameLab is just getting too much value on this cross-map plays. And just like that, even now at the bottom here, ALVA 8, they finally show themselves, but Zion doesn't seem to have the purple buff to actually contest this, as they are going to respect this and back out. And it seems like ALVA 8, they're playing this a little bit too defensively, hoping that Allura is going to be the backup plan. But now with the Divine Judgment coming in,
they just drag him off the wall. XN able to get away with his team by his side. Some crowd control coming up from Allura, but Havos just walking forward. They're going to pop the Sicilian Ultimate. Dortmund trading places with Havos. They wanted to get the purple buff. They won't be able to get it. Meanwhile, Takenaga has just found Aaron Shiki with the second turtle spawning on the board. It seems like ALVA 8 have the intention to challenge this. Unfortunately, with Havos and Dortmund around, it's not going to be easy. Aaron Shiki hovering around, daring GameLab to jump on him. And ALVA 8 just could not find a way in.
Yeah, they have to just concede this here. They're just losing a little bit too much value for the fact that ALVA 8, they're hoping that Zion is going to be able to do something for the team, but eventually, I guess the idea here from ALVA 8 is to make sure that Jirachi gets his farm alongside with Allura, and so far, they're just playing it slow. Zion needs to make a lot of space for the team. He cannot afford to be poked out by Darkman, but now with the Numenor Blast coming in, it is going to completely whiff from the side of ALVA 8 and GameLab. They are just going to continue their snowball as they try to invade for space.
Takenaga almost solo kill Allura down mid as well. XCN showing
no.
up. This is a bad position for him to be in. Forced to use a Tempest of Blade and actually gets clipped by the real world manipulation. Thanks to the purple buff, he does get away, but GameLab have gotten so much space on the map.
Oh, great outplay coming from Zion as well. Baiting out the Divine Judgment means that is going to give a little bit of room for Allura to get some sort of farm, but at the same time, there's some fast fingers coming in. GameLab, however, they are going to try and continue to take use of those space to get some more farm for UTZ. As the damage leaderboard-wise, you can see Takenaga, 11k net damage output. But for now, the question here remains here. Can Jirachi actually get his farm? He's currently got his Corrosion Scythe and Steel Plate Licks, as well as a potential DHS coming up. And once that comes in, I don't think it's going to matter that much against GameLab, who's currently doesn't have a lot of front liners, as diving back lines coming for Takenaga. Getting a kill on Allura.
4-0 so far. As clean as a whistle for GameLab. 4,000 gold lead advantage over ALVA 8. And once more, this Lolita has not been able to be effective. Vinsmoke just gets dragged back into the hands of GameLab, kidnapped by this Kaja. Kill number 5 going over to Yuktezi.
Oh boy, this is by far the scariest game that I've seen so far. And I'm not gonna lie, it is just so very patient coming from Dogman, always setting up those kind of ganks and kills. Eventually, he is gonna, you know, fall to a certain degree, but ALVA 8, they don't seem to be taking any countermeasures to go for the fight. And oh my goodness, Zion! He walks right into Dogman. Oh boy, GameLab is just completely destroying them right now. Takenaga, he's dropping a little bit low. They've got him isolated. They finally get a kill onto him. A little bit of redemption point, but they've lost 5.2k net worth. And on top side, Arashiki is going to get a free kill for UTZ.
That should be the top tier 1 going down. Final tier 1 as well. Dokman doesn't have the Divine Judgment. Just doing it so that he can push baseball back. Divine Judgment just coming back up. Takenaga already getting the Malefic Roar. Just so much progression in that Iron Spike. Real manipulation onto Eliora.
Oh!
Barely getting away with his life.
Oh my goodness. How if Aizawa had a glowing wand right there, if and only if he had a glowing wand, he might have gotten the kill right there. But at the same time, topside, Divine Judgment comes in. Arashiki in a very awkward position. And GameLab, they'll get another kill for UTZ. And ALVA, they're not forcing any fights at all. And they're just completely running away from GameLab on every single front. And this is a problem for them.
Remember, this whole game, for 8 minutes, and this Link died once, but we haven't seen him do too much. Everywhere he goes, GameLab is on his tail. Dolman again threatening this Link. And he doesn't even need to have his ultimate online to do so. And the presence, Vinsmo only getting the Numina Blast onto Dolman. Aizawa able to flicker away. Takenaga now shows up. Jirachi evaporates, and Takenaga doing copious amount of damage. Havosic ready to come in for the flank. He just pushed ALVA 8 away from this tier 2.
Oh my goodness, disciplined plays coming in from Takenaga. He knew for a fact that that was exactly happening. Goes in, sees Jirachi, takes out the marksman. That's all. I'm not going to overcommit to that. I am going to back off because Lord is up for grabs. Because as of yet, let's take a look at the goal earned as well.
Yeah,
is this even a game?
Your Link is not even 1,000 goal ahead of Sakaja.
This is kind of worrisome. And now Zion, he is going to get completely almost taken down as well. 1 HP. He gets out to safety. But GameLab just not giving them any sort of hope. They're just choking every point coming from ALVA 8. And there's just no space to even farm at all. And this is a big problem because eventually GameLab will be able to knock down the base. Yep. And as you can see, the Divine Judgment comes in. And Arashiki, the point of interest comes in. The point of slash comes true. But there's no follow-up coming from ALVA 8 at all.
And this is just a flawless game. There's nothing that ALVA 8 could do. They want to defend the inhibitor at least. Get the stun on the Takenaga. And the turret shot from the Crystal will do the job. Getting the timing just right. GameLab a bit overzealous, but they still have the Lord crashing up top at ALVA 8. Not going to be easy to move on forward. The room of manipulation is there. XGen coming in, trying to go for the flank. Already taking a heap of damage. Forced to immediately disengage. Still gets clipped by the E-Fault and ends up going down. The top inhibitor is no more.
My goodness, how fast is Aizawa's fingers pre-firing his way through, knowing for a fact that Link is going to dive him. Gets a pop slot as well. Takes him down low enough and also getting the finish. And just like that, ALVA 8, they're able to somehow hold on, but they've lost so much in terms of this trade-off. 1 inhibitor down, they've lose Zion in the process, who's arguably supposed to be doing creating space for his team. And with all these plays coming in, it seems like there's just absolutely nothing they can do at all in this fight.
Definitely doesn't seem like it. 10.5 minutes. We are just a minute away from the next Lord. And GameLab up to this point have not let go of the accelerator at any point. Again, top 3 net worth all occupied GameLab, and they are all so far ahead. Havos very daring, just walking up forward into 3 members of ALVA 8, knowing that none of them can actually kill him. He's like, what, 2-0-3, has a Purify, has a Dominance Ice Queen 1, the Clock of Destiny, just a very, very beefy Mage Bruiser.
Yeah, this is a problem as well because as of yet, UTZ already having the Magic Blade very close to that Rose Gold Meteor, but they will start things off with the Divine Judgment. They do catch off Windsmoke. No Lolita in this process. Tier 3s are gone. And ALVA 8, they're just scrambling. They're not even connected to even force a fight, knowing that Darkman may have his Divine Judgment very, very soon. And GameLab might as well just be closing up the game as of now. But pay attention to minimap as well, because Zion is nowhere to be found, and he's looking to try and cut the creep waves all the way to back to base. It's about 40 seconds left. I'm guessing he's gonna try and cut 2 waves of minions back at the base of GameLab to try and slow down his aggression. But is it the wisest of choice? But seems like he will do so in the minimap. And GameLab will focus on Lord. Yeah.
GameLab just gonna go for the Lord. ALVA 8 knows that they can't contest this. And again, Divine Judgment, this time kidnapping Arashiki. He's just gonna get melted by UTZ. this is probably going to be the end of Game 1. GameLab only has that bot inhibitor standing, and that structure itself down to a 50% HP. 13-2 with an 11,000 gold advantage for GameLab.
Oh boy, I don't know how ALVA 8 is going to make a comeback to this. Euphoria is pretty much the only saving grace, but so far we haven't even seen Euphoria being able to slap anyone down towards more than 50% health, and currently everyone from the side of GameLab doesn't have the highest magic resist, except for pretty much Dogman, who's got the Radiant Armor. But the Magic Blade from the side of UTZ is going to allow this carry to get 3 hits all the way through. And now with the Lord coming in,
they're going to try the Wooden Blast from behind. Only onto Dogman though. The Lord pounding on the Crystal. That's GameLab. They're just going to take this fight head on with the real world manipulation. And the Crystal smashed by the Lord. Just as clean as it can get for GameLab in this game number 1. Not even a contest.
Yeah, a complete domination. GameLab very confident with their 2-0 Game 1. A complete one-sided massacre against ALVA 8. Absolutely nothing ALVA 8 could have done. And it seems like GameLab, once again, their strategy is just so on point, and there's just absolutely nothing